Put the shot with the timer and me on it up in preview. Down on the bottom row.
Oh.
There you go. Not just the timer.
Why is just the timer there? Is that because it has to be
It has
there
to be
as
there.
an asset?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even when you combine these shots, they'll still just be sitting there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we should be streaming
I'm going to start
on.
this streaming here. I'm going to start this. Oh, go live.
Yeah, we have to go live on Facebook. I'm going to refresh this page. We should be on here. I'm not posting anything. I want to just refresh it. Thank you. Oh, this is why we do a pre-show.
This is why you do a pre-show.
I'm just waiting for Facebook to come up. There we are. And we are live on Facebook. We should be live on Periscope today too.
On my Facebook's almost 30 seconds behind live. Like on my phone here. Everything else looks pretty kosher.
I gotta turn off the audio here.
Yep, you're only about 5 seconds behind, 10 seconds behind there. About 15 seconds behind on Facebook, on computer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about normal, I think.
Yeah, it's about normal today. Hello, everybody.
Is here.
Just give us a few seconds here as we get things going. I can see we've got 3 people watching. I don't know who they are, but I can see that we've got 3 people watching.
Line 1. You got Phil Morris online.
Okay. Hey, Phil, how are you? Why am I hearing myself? Is that coming through the headphones?
Oops, sorry, no, my phone's on. Apologize.
Okay, so I can see your comments today, just so you guys know. I am taking comments on Facebook and on YouTube today. We are also streaming to Periscope today. We're going to try that and see how that works out. And what we're doing today is we're going to show you how to change your hot end. Welcome, Philip, or Phil Morris. I have my coffee. You guys will have to excuse me if I seem a little grumpy today. I'm fighting off a headache like crazy. But the show must go on. So I'm going to do the show today, and we're going to show you how to change that hot end, show you what tools I'm using. Today we're going to be working with my homemade Prusa, which I like playing with, and go from there. I'm just going to check Periscope just real quickly and see if we're actually streaming to Periscope.
Is Periscope another social media?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I've never even heard of it. That doesn't mean anything, but I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's another social media platform. I'm not sure if we're...
Well, David Sloan is on YouTube.
Hello, David. G'day, mate, from down under. He's probably going to have something to say about my bad accent.
That wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Wasn't bad.
So I'm on Periscope. I want to log in. I don't know if I'm on Periscope or not. Thomas Fire, Power of Blue. So bear with us. Exit that page. Oh, snap, reload. Periscope doesn't want to load for me today. I don't know why. Should just be Periscope TV. That's it. That's all I want is Periscope TV. There we go. Watch live. That's what I want. Let's see if Cleveland IM is on Periscope. Oh, I still got 5 minutes. So I'm trying some experiments today too, guys, if you're wondering what I'm talking about and that sort of thing. Oh, I am live. Look at that. I am live over on Periscope today. That's kind of cool. So I'm actually streaming to Periscope. I'm trying a new social media platform. I'm trying to get my social media game up, and we're going to be going and really pushing our social media with Instagram, Periscope. You'll find me on Twitter at Cleveland_IM, all lowercase. And also on Periscope, Cleveland_IM. And it's going to be interesting. So I have a question here in the chat over on YouTube. David Sloan's asking, what's the deal? Everyone seems to be buying CR10. Is it really that good?
Oh, it's just the next one.
Well, let me tell you, it is, for the money, it's a great machine. And I think that's why everybody's kind of jumping on that bandwagon. Hello, Fred. So if you're interested in a CR10, of course, wherever you are in the world, you can get it wherever you are in the world. There's plenty of places online that talk about the CR10 and have it available. Some places you can find some really smoking deals. I know here at, where am I? Spool 3D. Here at Spool 3D, they also are now an authorized reseller of the CR10S and all the other CR10 products. They're the only, and I've said this before, they're the only service center in Canada for CR10 and Creality products. However, that being said, the CR10 is a good machine. I tried it yesterday. One flaw that we are finding is that there might be a flaw in the firmware. So I'm going to do some further investigation on that either today or tomorrow. So is the CR10 worth the money? Yes, it is. Absolutely worth the money for the size. And right now I think it's your best bang for your buck. Coming in at $749 at Spool 3D. And that's Canadian. That's not U.S. That's Canadian. So U.S. price is going to be a little bit lower, and depending on where you are in the world, it all depends on what the exchange rate is, I guess. So that is good there. Anybody who's really interested, today we're not streaming on my channel. We are streaming on the official First Layer Facebook channel. I want to bring that up real quick. We're 2 minutes away. Mark Baker, hello again, Richard. And Frank, he says he's talking to you, Frank.
Hi.
Mark Baker and I spent some time on the weekend together. I was showing him how to use his FormBot T-Rex. What an amazing machine. That thing is a monster. Glenn Jones, bah! Hello, Glenn. So it was fun to play with. I gave him a couple of lessons on using his printer and the software to go along with it. So hopefully that worked out for him. We're about a minute away. I'm drinking coffee today in my Darth Vader mug. And this coffee was made in my Star Wars coffee maker that my wife so generously bought for me over the weekend. Hello, Morgan. Huzzah, he says. Huzzah, we have coffee. I'm battling a headache today, so bear with me. Yesterday I had a migraine, so I'm battling a headache. I'm trying to be as jovial as possible, but it may not work today. So, Rudy Yetten is joining us here on Facebook as well. So, listen, if you haven't already, please subscribe to us over on YouTube. We are really upping our social game now. In the new year, you're going to see a lot of great things happening. And we're going to be moving around. We're going to be using social media a lot more. You're going to see a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. We're going to incorporate another camera into the setup, so we'll have 3 camera angles, not just 2. And then if I can ever get it running, we'll have 4 camera angles. One will kind of be a mobile camera angle using my phone, if I can get it to work on NDI. So Alexander Ritchie, hi. Welcome to the show. Glenn is saying that he just printed the Darth Vader fidget spinner for his nephew. That's awesome. I haven't printed any fidget spinners because I don't fidget. I don't think I fidget. Or maybe I do. I don't know.
Fidgeting
So
right now.
again, I'm fidgeting right now. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead, subscribe to us on Facebook and YouTube. Join us on Facebook. We have a great community there. If you're looking for answers to your 3D printing questions, we have a great community of people there, and it's growing all the time. And if I don't know the answer, somebody in our group definitely will. We've got a lot of great people. Today, we are going to be changing the nozzle in this homemade Prusa of mine. This is built on the Prusa Mark II design. It's on an acrylic frame. I know people are going to say, acrylic is crap. 69 chips. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show. So we're going to change the throat and we're going to change the nozzle. And I'm going to show you how to do that properly today. So if you've never changed your throat or your nozzle, now you're going to understand how to do it. And every printer setup is a little different. If I swing the camera over to here, you can see that we've got our extruder set up, and we're going to show you how to take all that apart. Okay, so I guess it's time to run the show. Run that intro.
Whoops.
Hey, we're back. Wow, that was quick. I wasn't paying attention. I'm Richard Cleveland, if we haven't met before. Welcome to the show. We do this live stream twice a week on Mondays and Fridays, and we do a recorded show every Wednesday. This is all about exploring the world of 3D printing for those of you that are new to the show. And I'm off my game today. I apologize. Just try to ignore the title, 69 Chip says. Yes, ignore the title because I didn't change it in YouTube today, so this is not the unboxing that was on Friday.
Oh.
So it's showing up differently, but we'll change it. Don't worry. Yeah, just ignore the title. That's actually a really good thing to do. So the CR10 has been reliable, Morgan says. Experienced my first hardware failure, a fan, which was due to it sucking up excess filament from a failed print. Oh, that's interesting. I hope everything's okay, and that you were able to fix it. So we've got some stuff we're going to get to today, and I want to show you guys exactly how to change your nozzle and the throat in your 3D printer. Now, every 3D printer is a little bit different, so I am not going to do every different printer. It's just impossible for me to cover. I have this homemade Prusa that I built, and that's what we're going to use. It's plugged in, it's ready to go. So first and foremost, let's start with the stuff that we're going to need to upgrade. We are upgrading. We have a throat here. This is an all metal throat. I'm going to just switch cameras here real quick. This is an all metal throat. I'll kind of stick my hand through there. It has no PTFE liner in it. So this is actually really good for doing any type of of setup as far as the material that you want to use. The bore on this is actually kind of interesting because it starts with a big 4mm bore on the top end, and by the time it gets to here, we're down to 1.75. German printing nerd, hello, sir. Who else we got there that I missed? Nobody.
Chris,
looks like
Ryan,
Daniel
on
Wright. Good
Facebook.
afternoon, sir. We're going to put on another brass tip because, yes, I could go to a stainless steel nozzle. For this machine, all I ever do with it is run PETG and PLA through it, so it's not, I don't even really need this throat. I could go with a line throat, but because I run PTEG or PETG through it, I like the all-metal throat. It's just my personal preference. So let's get to it because we got a lot to do. So first and foremost, you want to plug in your machine and you want to get it up to temperature. So you're going to go to your dial here. Let me just switch cameras again. You're going to go to your control box, and I have a very festive green and red and black setting going on here. I'm going to do this upside down. So we are going to turn that control box so that I can see it a little bit. And we're going to hit the button. We're going to go down to prepare. Actually, we're not going to go down to prepare. We're going to go down to control. So you guys can't see that very well on there. So I'm on control. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch down to temperature. So you can see the arrow is at temperature now. I'm going to just click that, and I'm going to go down to my nozzle, and I'm going to set my nozzle to right around 200 degrees. Not 260, not 248. I have to readjust the firmware on this. So right at 200. So now it's going to heat up my nozzle. And the reason that we want to heat that up is because we need to get at it. Now you're probably saying to yourself, well, hey Rich, why didn't you take off all of the stuff around it first? Well, I could do that, but I don't really have to do that. So right now we're just going to let it heat up, and as it's heating up, I'm going to begin the process of moving some of the stuff off of here so that I can get at that nozzle. And first and foremost, I'm going to take off the fan shroud, and in this case it is a 2.5mm socket, so we're just going to open that up and get that off of there. So this is just the fan shroud that goes over our fan. We have another screw up here to get at, just underneath there, so we can remove that fan. Now, a lot of times you don't have to go to this extreme to take everything off. What I normally do is I just tuck the fan up in between the belts so it's out of my way. I have this giant piece of machinery that needs to come off so that I can get in there and, oh, Christmas. Yes, I have this giant fan that I have to, or fan, that's not a fan. That is okay, so here we go. We're going to get in there and take that off. The thing about the Prusa design is that there's a lot that you have to get at. And there's a lot of screws that you have to take out to get at stuff. Now you can see that we've got a little bit of material coming out the bottom here. Okay? And that's just because we have a little bit of material up in the top. So I'm just going to push down a little bit, and then I'm going to do a hard pull out. And that did not work because it broke. Ha! So let's get in there and pull that off. If your filament is too has got too much moisture in it because you left it in there too long and it's just absorbed moisture from around the room or in your environment, then it will snap. And it's a pain in the backside sometimes to get it off. So I'm just going to open that up. I can see here, I don't know how well this is going to show on camera, but if I can turn this, you can see that we have the filament still in there. So I'm going to grab a pair of needle nose pliers and grab that filament, probably from up here, push it down a bit. And I just broke it off even more. Again, something you don't want to do. But because we have that heated up, we should be able to push that all the way through with our long needle, which seems to be missing.
Maybe just use another piece of filament.
I could use another piece of filament, but I prefer not to. So I'm just going to grab myself just another small driver. I'm going to force it down in there. That one is too big. I had my hook the other day and now it is gone. Gone, gone, gone. Just like the Hall & Oates song. So we're just going to push that down. Push it through. Now I've got a PTFE liner in here, so that's part of the problem. So we're going to continue to remove this because we have to get at certain parts of this. Why am I doing all this nonsense? Wow, my brain is not where it should be today, kids. Let's just tighten that back up. Are there any questions I need to address? It also helps to raise the gantry up so you have room to work. That's absolutely right. Geraldine Ham says that's because I don't put anything back. What? Glenn's just dated himself. Okay. So we're just going to tighten that one back up. My brain is not where it should be today. I don't know why. But all we got to do to get into this area is very, very simple. We are going to release a screw. We have to take this fan off first. And I'll just swing that around so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm taking this fan off. So I can't see your questions, so I have to rely on Frank to answer them properly today. Not saying that Frank doesn't answer questions properly.
There's
He
a
does.
lot more sarcastic comments than there are questions today. It's Monday.
Oh, it's sarcasm
Monday.
day.
Yeah, brains don't work well automatically on Mondays.
Welcome to sarcasm day. Okay, we're going to get that out of there. We're going to open up this.
Glenn says he can't brain today. He has the Monday dumbs.
He has the Monday dumbs.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world. I have the Monday dumbs a lot.
Sometimes they go right into Tuesday.
Yeah, sometimes they do go right into Tuesday. And they follow through to a Friday in some cases.
Well, at least you got to follow through.
So we are going to open this up. And I have a BL Touch here. So what I have to do is I have to get in underneath my BL Touch. So I'm just going to raise this gantry a little bit. I should put some... I got to clean these rods too. So raise up your gantry a little bit. So you have some room to work and get your tools in there. I'm just going to readjust this camera a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. Is that better?
That's awesome.
So now I'm just going to take out one screw of the BL Touch. It's actually getting quite warm. And of course, that's the wrong screwdriver. That's the wrong screwdriver altogether. I need this little guy. So we are at temperature. I'm just going to, for the sake of not burning myself, I'm going to cool this down, and then we'll bring it back up to temperature in a minute. I'm just going to take out one side of the BL Touch so that I can swing that out of the way. And you guys can see the hot end in there. Maybe I'll drop this camera a little bit and you guys can see that a little bit better. There we go. So now you guys can see that a little bit better. You can see we've got a lot of dirt in there from this machine running. This thing's been running for quite a long time. Yes, I don't want to burn my hand. You're absolutely right about that, Geraldine.
Safety first.
Safety first, that's right. So now that we've got it open, we can pop that out. And there's a couple of ways to do it. If it's hot like it is now, the fins aren't too hot, so we should be able to wiggle that out of there. And you can see we've got a little bit of PTFE tube in there. So what I want to do is I want to take that out of there, and I'll probably end up replacing that PTFE tube. Let me grab this because it's got a little bit of material in it. There we go. We got that out of there okay. See, we got a little bit of melted material on the end. All right. So here's where we're at. We've got our thermistor. We've got our heater cartridge in there. You can see that it's probably about time I clean this up and changed it a little bit. I wonder if I can get a little bit closer there. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. And I'll tilt that down so you guys can see what I'm doing. Is that in focus? Yeah, that's in focus. Okay.
Yes.
So we have it apart. Now I'm going to heat it back up because I need to loosen up that the screw, or actually the nozzle. So I'm going to heat it back up to 200 degrees. Heat it up if I can just get my hand where I need it to go. Go to temperature. We'll go to nozzle and we will heat that up to 200 degrees. And the reason I go to 200 is because that's typically what I do with all of mine. I usually print PLA at 200 degrees as well. So when I'm changing the nozzle like I'm going to now, I want to show you guys exactly how all of this comes apart. This is all genuine E3D stuff on here. So we are going to replace the nozzle, and we're going to replace the throat on this guy today. The nozzle seems to be pretty gummed up. I've had a few issues with this machine in the last little while, but hasn't been horrible. So we'll see what we're getting at here now. It shouldn't be too much longer for everything to kind of come together. Now I put this machine together with PET G for the most part. We're at 196. Okay, so first and foremost, what I want to do is I want to grab my channel locks. These are so handy. Now, you don't need Fat Max channel locks. You can use any ones. I like to use the Fat Max. I'm a big Stanley fan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the channel locks to hold my hot end. I'm going to make my channel locks just a little bit bigger. We'll go back to this camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm wrapping my channel locks around there. You guys can see that. And because I know that this is 7 millimeters, the nozzle is 7 millimeters, I'm just going to take my 7 millimeter wrench, get it on there as best I can, and loosen up that nozzle. So that nozzle is now loose. If I want to, I can take the throat out as well, which I want to do. And that throat looks like it's seen better days as well. So now I can shut the machine off. And that's what I'm going to do because I don't need it on for this next part. So normally I would go ahead and do the block and everything, but I'm not going to do the block on this one. I'm just going to let it cool down before I take things apart, but I will get back to doing this. Now, this is actually quite warm. This is the part that I'm talking about right now. I'm just going to change cameras here. So this is the part I'm talking about right now. And if I look through there, this was an all-metal throat as well. I could probably keep this throat. Maybe I'll just put it in my spare pile. It's in there quite good. So I'm going to just grab my needle nose pliers here and see if I can wrestle that out of there without ruining the threads on it. Well, it looks like it's not coming out of there. There we go. There we go. We got that out of there. Now, I did mess up the threads on that, so that is now garbage. I crushed the threads. And that's something you don't want to do. Now, some people would think, okay, let's just put that back in there like that, a brand new one. We're not going to do that. There's a specific way of doing this, and I want you guys to follow along with me as I do it properly. We have a genuine E3D heatsink here. We have a genuine E3D throat. We have a genuine E3D nozzle. And we don't have a genuine E3D block because the block is a cheap Chinese block. So you'll notice that this is a little different. I'm going to just see if I can switch back to that camera for you guys. You can see that I've got a little bit of a different thermistor in there and a different heater cartridge. The thermistor that I have in there is an M3 screw type thermistor. I like them better than the ones you put in and then tighten down. These are so much easier. They've got a nice little brake on them, so if I have to change it out, I can do it fairly quickly and without a lot of fuss and muss. So that's still a little warm. So we don't want to... This is rocket science. You got to have finesse. I like that. Youch. That's the same action I tried and broke it. Yes, I have done that. I have broken some of these throats, and it can be a pain in the backside. Now, if I wanted to go to a genuine E3D, I could, but you can see on the genuine E3Ds, I just want to show you guys this real quick on this camera here. On a genuine E3D block, you can see that they have a different hole for the thermistor. That's because they use a different thermistor altogether, and then you just put in a set screw or a grub screw to hold it in there. They're good and they're not so good. I'm kind of on the fence about them. I really like these ones because they use the same settings in your firmware as an E3D thermistor does. So in my opinion, they're just as good, if not better. Just going to have a look at comments here. There's no comments over on Facebook today. Am I missing comments on Facebook, or has there been a few?
I don't know. I'm on the fence about that too. I haven't seen any really. There's been a couple, but just at the beginning, and I haven't seen any since. So
there we go.
Facebook could be glitching again.
Don't burn your hand. I will not burn my hand. Thanks, Geraldine. I'm not going to burn my hand. She's seen me burn my hand lots. Geraldine is actually my wife. She's trying to make sure that I come home with all my fingers intact.
This is a test comment. Oh, thanks, Chris.
Okay, so going back over here, I'm just going to finish getting that nozzle off. If I had a socket here, it would go much faster.
Okay, yeah, so Facebook's fine. It's just not getting much action today. That's all.
That's
Everybody's on YouTube today.
Okay, so now I'm unscrewing this with my fingers because it's cool enough for the touch, to my touch. So I'm going to screw that off. Screw off, he says. It's a little warm. Okay, we'll put that down on the table. It's a little warm, just a little bit. It's just a little warm. But that's pretty messed up. Yep, that's pretty messed up. So, here we are. What do we do now? Well, first thing we're going to do is we are going to take our new nozzle and we're going to thread it in there. That's still a little warm. Let's not do that while it's still a little warm. Ouch.
There he goes.
Ouch. I didn't burn myself, but it's just a little warm to hold on to for any length of period of time. If you're in a rush like me, don't be in a rush like me. I'm going to look at some questions here. If anybody's got any.
Not really.
Chris Armstrong, this is a test comment. Thank you, Chris. Chris is a very informed member of our community, and I'm going to put Chris on the spot here. If he's interested in maybe answering some questions that people have about 3D printing, hopefully he will come forward and answer your questions if I can't. What else we got going on here? I'm just trying to see if I missed any. Glenn says he just dated himself. I'm not sure how Glenn dated himself.
You were talking about something earlier that you dated yourself, I think.
Oh, okay. And then, yes, I'm having a, pardon my language, because I know this is a family show, but I'm having a dumbass Monday. And it's probably going to continue for the rest of the week.
Great.
Yeah, so that's still a little warm. Boy, that thing stays warm for a while. I should have brought in a can of compressed air to cool it down.
I use oven mitts.
Yeah, I could use oven mitts.
Buy a pair of silicone gloves.
Yeah, I could do that too, but
you could do a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's kind of awkward getting in there like this. Let me see if I can demonstrate on this one. Okay, so what we're gonna do on this one, which is tightened up, which I shouldn't have tightened up. There we go. I'm going to use this one to demonstrate what I'm going to do. Okay, so let's imagine for a minute that we've got our block. Well, we have a block, but we've got our block right here. Okay, this is we're going to show you exactly how this is done, and then we're going to do it while this one's cooling down. So we've got our block. We've got to put in our nozzle. What you want to do is you want to screw the nozzle in till it bottoms out. Okay, and what that means is that you can't screw it in no more. And you don't want to be a brute. You don't want to grab your wrench and tighten it down. You just want it to come to a stop, okay? So that you can't see any of the threads coming through there. Then you're going to back it off about a quarter turn to a half a turn. Then you're going to take your throat and you're going to put your throat in. And you're going to take the throat down till that bottoms out. Once that happens, once those two are sitting together, then you take your wrench, and you put it on there, and you take your channel locks and just give it a tighten. Don't be a brute, just give it a tighten. Okay, so now I should not be able to remove that throat by hand. That is now nice and tight, and that is seated properly for our next step. Okay, and our next step, of course, is going to be putting on our heatsink. And we put our heatsink on, and normally we would go ahead and attach all of our heater core and our thermistor, but it's already attached to our block. So we are going to take this one and put that over there because we're going to still need this piece. So does anybody have any questions about that? In of 3D printing, I'd love it if you would print one of my models. I would be happy to print one of your models. Just send them over to me. I'm always looking for models to print. We're going to get into more printing on the show as the new year comes around. Who has 2 thumbs and did not put the filament into the extruder gear when restarting a print? This guy.
This guy.
Glenn, I have done that myself, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Bit off subject, Fred says. How easy, if all, is it to swoop the parts of one machine, or swap the, I'm assuming you want to swap the machine, into a new frame to end up with a bigger print area instead of buying a new machine? It's actually quite easy. Basically what you do is, if you are building a new frame and you want a bigger bed, let's say you want to go to an 8.5 by 12 bed, then you just build your frame around that. And all of the parts, your motors, your extruder, all of that can be ported over to the bigger machine. And then just tune everything up like you normally would. You can take all your electronics. You may have to extend some cabling, depending on what your cabling is now. So I hope that answered your question. It actually is pretty easy. I'm actually doing it on another machine, which is down on the floor right now. My very first machine was a Hicktop 3DP08, which came on an acrylic frame just like the one we're working with today. And I made the rookie mistake, being my first 3D printer, I made the rookie mistake of putting Loctite on all of the bolts that connected everything to the frame. Loctite is not a product you want to use to lock your bolts in if you're going through acrylic, because Loctite eats through acrylic. So I was experiencing pieces of my acrylic that were breaking, and I had no idea why. They were cracking, and it was just a complete cluster F. And then I've just finally decided, okay, I'm going to take it all apart. I'm going to build a new frame for it. And I'm building a 2020 extrusion frame. I found a guy online who's already reproduced parts for it, so I can make it into a brand new printer, and that's what I'm going to do. Would firmware need to be changed to accept the new print area? Yes, absolutely it would, Fred. And you'll have to know where that is in your Marlin setup. If you haven't yet done anything with Marlin and you're not experienced at working with it, we are going to be doing a show in the new year about Marlin firmware and how to tweak your Marlin firmware and then upload it back to your machine. You would have, again, yes, like Glenn says, you'd have to go in and change it. Absolutely. 3D, with the exception of a longer Z-rod and belts, would I take my Wanhao i3 V1 and turn it into a CR10S? Could you do that? Yeah, but you have a Wanhao i3 version 1. I like my Wanhao. I've got a duplicator i3 as well. I have no reason to upgrade it to that. Mine's the version 2.1 though. So you could do it. I think you'd be, by the time you bought all the extrusion and printed all the parts that you needed and got a hold of some of the other things, you'd be better off, just in my opinion, to buy yourself a CR10. I mean, you're out in Germany, so getting it to you wouldn't be that bad. I wonder, is anybody watching us over on Periscope today?
I don't have Periscope up.
That's okay. I'm watching.
Periscope
Oh,
down.
2 people are living. Two people are watching us over on Periscope.
We got a new joiner on Facebook, Gary Tarasov.
Oh, hello, Gary. Welcome. So it's kind of interesting. You know, it's for what you're going, the time and the trouble that you're going to go through to convert your Wanhao to a CR10. Just buy a CR10. That's my my thought on that. That's a financial problem for me to buy the CR10S with no support. I understand that. I can relate to that. I can certainly relate to that. What I would do, in all honesty, Don, is I would just upgrade your Wanhao to the 2.1 version from the version 1 that you have. Make the best use out of that printer, and then when you know it's financially available to you, purchase a CR10. CR10 costs more than a decent car in the UK. Really? Wow, I didn't know that. I know here in Canada, well, Spool 3D, and let's thank those guys at Spool 3D real quick. Spool 3D, print it right, print it with Spool 3D. They have everything that you need, from parts. They now are carrying the CR10, so that is a definite plus. This should be cool enough now. Oh yeah, that's way cool enough. In all honesty, I think that if you guys are looking for a CR10, check it out there. I'm really wondering how that is so much money. But okay, let's get back to the topic. So let's finish, now that our block is cooled down, we're going to get back into it. Let's do that. Okay, so here we are. And I just burped. I'm sorry. So we're going to take our nozzle, we're going to screw it in, and there we go, screwing it in, dun, 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 dun. Turn that to camera. And now it's bottomed out, so I'm going to give it just a 1/4 to 1/2 a turn back. So there we are, and now I'm going to take that throat and I'm going to put that throat in there, and I'm going to let that throat bottom out. Okay, so that throat now is bottomed out. Now I want to take my channel locks, push the bed forward here a little bit. I'll take my channel locks and I'm going to put my 7mm spanner on there and just tighten it down. So now it's tight. Okay? Now we can put back on our heatsink. And we'll thread that down till it stops. We're going to take our throats, or our little PTFE liner, thread it right back down in there till it bottoms out. And now we're going to just stick that back up the hole. Boy, that sound bad. So we're going to stick that back up in the hole there. Now this takes a little fiddling around. There we go. Want to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. I'm going to pop that back into place. Just bring this camera up a little bit. So that's what we want to focus on. There we are. So now we can start closing this all back up. And in my situation, I've got to change that over. Now I have a BL Touch on mine. I don't have a regular sort of setup here. I like the BL Touch. It works very well for me. I want to make sure that I've got the right screws going into the right place. And they're all the same size. So that doesn't matter. All right, so now we're going to start to reassemble this. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I just want to make sure that we are reassembled. We've got the right screws for the right spots. And that screw goes right in there. Let's make sure we got the right stuff going on here. Okay, there we go. We'll get that in there. Now we're not done tightening up that nozzle yet. I just want you guys to know that, because some people are going to ask me, well, how come you've got it like that? And in all honesty, the reason it is like that is because there's only one screw that holds that whole front cabinet on. Then you've got these screws that hold the fan on. And once the fan goes on, it holds this whole assembly together, which is kind of cool.
Do you have this Prusa i3 for sale here at Spool?
No. We do not sell the Prusa i3. And that's why I built my own. So I'm just going to thread that through there and start threading this up into this area right here. I want to make sure all of my wires are tucked up and out of the way like they should be, and they're not. Okay, let's take that out again. There's a little channel in here where you can tuck up all of your wires. And yes, I said tuck up. And once you've got them tucked in there, you can use your fan to hold them in. And that just keeps them out of the way and keeps them from getting pinched, so that you don't pinch off any of the extruder wires. So we got the first one in. We're going to get the other three in there as well. And that will help to keep this whole assembly together. And then we will be rocking and rolling. Now, when you print out these parts for yourself, and they are available if you want to build your own Prusa, all these parts are available online. The one thing that you have to watch is that when you're building your own Prusa Mark II or Mark III or whatever sort of mark you want to build. I did not have a screw up in there before, did I? Nope, I didn't. I had one down here. There we go. All right, so we got that back together. Now, before I put on my part cooling fan, I want to heat this up again so I can get in underneath there and tighten that up one more time. And I want to use the space that I have to be able to grab the print head so that I don't burn myself. So we're going to plug it back in. Now, this one has a janky fan on it, on the power supply. So it's going to be loud. Oh, look at that.
It actually sounds good.
It actually sounds good. Look at that. Okay. So let's get our nozzle back up to temperature here. Go to control. I'm not heating for PLA. I'm just heating my nozzle. There we go. So we're going to heat up the nozzle now. Once the nozzle is heated up, then we'll get back into tightening up some of our other goodies and go from there. Let's have a look at your comments. And let's switch cameras.
There's lots, especially on YouTube.
Okay, looking on YouTube here. What printer is this? This is my homemade Prusa i3 Mark II. I made this one myself. I downloaded the parts, or the STLs for the parts, from Prusa's GitHub. I had the frame cut for me. It was laser cut by a friend of mine. Now I'll be able to laser cut my own stuff pretty soon. And then I bought all the parts and I put it together. Mark Brennan, this is the model Spool 3D has for sale. Not this one. This is not the model we have for sale. This is my own specific one, Mark. Just so you know. Only mods I've done to my i3 is the Micro Swiss hot end, Z bracing, and fan system. I did the exact same thing to my i3. I upgraded to the Micro Swiss. I did the bracing, and that's what I did with mine, and it works super. Oh, I did change my bed on mine. I have the Wanhao aluminum upgrade bed. It's not an official Wanhao part. It's made by another company. We are actually having them cut here, so hopefully that answered your question. If after the nozzle and the head changed, do you have to do any recalibration on the PIDs? No, you don't have to, because your PID tuning has really nothing to do with the metal itself. It plays a small part, but not a huge role. If you were changing that out for a completely different system, then yes, you would have to. But right now, because I've already pre-tuned it, all I have to do is just change out the parts that I need to change out. No, I'm not getting an X-Carve, as much as I would love to have an X-Carve to play with. We are going to be having a Trotec laser system brought here for a couple of months, starting in January. So that'll be a lot of fun. What's the cost difference of making your own versus buying it outright, ballpark? That is a great question. You can save yourself some money depending on where you're sourcing your parts from and what parts you're using. This is not as cheap as Tom Sadelander did when he did his Prusa dolly build. It is a system that, for all intent and purposes, this one cost me roughly around $300, give or take. So with the price of kits today coming in at around $300, $350, the ANET A8 I've seen as low as $190. Kits are fairly inexpensive. It's the quality of the part that you're buying. I tend to buy not the Cadillac, not the two-wheel bicycle, but in the Ford range. Usually I'm buying in the Ford range. So I like to have a little bit better part. As you can tell, I like to have a better controller board. You can buy the controller boards fairly inexpensively. You can buy a ramp stack which has an Arduino Mega board as well as the ramps board on top of it. Not a big fan of that stack. I prefer to have everything all in one, but the caveat to that is that I like to be able to change out my stepper drivers if I ever have a problem. On some boards, some of the more expensive boards, they have the stepper drivers built in. For me, that's not an option. I don't like that. I like to be able to service things myself. Fix or repair daily, German printing nerd says. I would rather call that an effing old rebuilt Dodge. How's that sound? I like the middle ground cost, yes.
You guys, the Ford jokes.
I'm a Ford guy. I love Ford products. I really do. So now that this should be heated up, I'm just going to check the temp here, not by touching it, mind you. Okay, our temperature's at 200. So what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can bring this into camera better. There we go. There we go. So now you guys, we're going to tighten up, give this thing its last tighten up, and then finish putting it back together. Glenn says he can't watch this anymore. All right, so let's grab our channel lock so we don't burn ourselves and get out our 7mm wrench, wherever we put it. There it is. And what we're looking to do here now that it's heated up, and the reason that we heat it up is because metal expands. And if it expands, then there are chances you'll get leakage. So we're just going to take our wrench and sit it on there, if we can get it on there, and get a hold of our, it's really tough to get a hold of this. I'm having a tough time getting a hold of this. I don't have a lot of room here now that it's all back together to grab it. Come on, you silly thing. Okay, I got a good grasp on it now. I'm going to get my wrench in there, and I'm just going to give it a tighten. And just tighten it up a little bit. So now it's all tight. It's ready to go. You'll find that when you give it that extra little bit of tighten, that you'll have a little bit of movement on that nozzle. So just tighten it till it stops. Don't over tighten. Please do not over tighten, because if you over tighten, what's going to end up happening is you're going to snap it off. So do not over tighten this, just till it stops. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create a good seal between the throat. You're going to create a good seal between the nozzle. And that's what you want. You want that good seal, because if you don't have that seal, what will happen is every time you go to extrude, a little bit of plastic is going to start to come out the threads, and then you end up with this big giant ball of mess. And you wonder what happened. So that is how we change, in a nutshell, our extruder. So now that extruder is nice and warm, I'm going to pull this part cooling fan back. We're going to set that back up. And we'll take a screw and put that in there. We have a screw hole. We just have to find it. There it is. There it is. We'll take our 2.5mm and screw that back in. And there we are. We've got it just tight enough. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, why is it so loose like that? Well, that's just the way it is. I can tighten it down a little bit more. but I've cracked the housing on that fan. I should probably replace it at some point. Now we can put this back on, which just sits down underneath here. And this is our fan shroud. And don't put your finger on your hot end, because right now it is still hot. So the fan shroud's in there now. Boom, it's done. Everything's ready to go. We're ready to reload filament. We're going to take our spring setup, and we're going to put our springs back in. These are our tensioning springs for the unit. Let me get my hand out of there.
You're nearly off camera right now.
I'm nearly off camera?
You're nearly off camera right now.
I shouldn't be. Oh yeah, I am off
Really,
camera.
really far over.
I'm on the wrong one. Why am I on the wrong camera? There we go, guys.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. So we've reassembled everything. The hot end is still hot. We're just putting our extruder springs back in. And I certainly don't need this many extruder springs, but oh well, such is life. Now I'll go and I'll balance my x-axis, make sure that it's perfectly in balance on both sides and that there's exact right spacing, but that's not part of today's. So let's unplug this guy because we are done. We've successfully installed our new hot end, or upgraded our hot end, or changed the hot end because we had such bad parts. So you have one watching, commenting. Why?
Good question.
Well, because I have the switcher over here. He doesn't have it over there. That's why. Okay, I'm just being mean now. All right, so it's fairly easy. Make sure that you heat up your hot end, loosen off that nozzle, let it cool down, take it apart. Once again, I will show you guys real quick how to do that. Let me grab this over here, and I'll show you using this one again. If I can get it loosened up, there we go. Give him the switcher. I am actually going to be doing that, giving him the switcher, and we're going to make it easier in the new year. We're still trying to work out some of the bugs in this system. And I'll talk about that another time. But again, it's very easy. Once your block is cool, thread in your nozzle. Just to recap, bottom it out, give it a quarter turn back, put in your throat till it bottoms out. Take your spanner and just tighten it up. Once it's tight, then you're ready to reassemble it back into the machine. And once you've done that, again, heat it up, let the metal expand, and then grab your channel locks and your spanner and just give it another little tighten. Just don't get gorilla tight, just get tight. And that will seal the two parts so when it shrinks, they're nice and tight, okay? So that's pretty much it for changing your nozzle. I hope you guys learned something. I hope I learned something. 3/4 inch open end wrench might be easier. Yes, it would be, but I don't have one here. So I apologize. You can do it with simple tools like channel locks. This is a little bit more complicated setup because of the way that Prusa has set up their new open end. If I'd had a 3/4 inch wrench, it would have worked better. Absolutely right about that. Chris Armstrong was mentioning that over on Facebook. So with that being said, guys, thanks for joining me. We've had another 1 hour show. Channel title is crazy. Yes, the channel title is crazy today. I haven't changed it yet. So I apologize. I'll change it when we stop the stream. I'll get in there and change it right away. But for now, guys, that's it. I hope you learned something. If you didn't know how to do that, now you do. If you have any questions about it, shoot me an email, shoot me a private message. or whatever you have to do, and I will certainly walk you through it again if I have to. Not a big deal. Creality?
Creality?
Yeah. Good show. I learned several things, Morgan says. Well, I'm glad you guys got something out of it. Wednesday, we are taking our tour through Trotec. You guys are going to be able to see that. And it was a lot of fun going through there. We got to see all the different materials that they have available for laser etching and laser cutting. It was a lot of fun. So I had a great time. Frank was there with me, and we're going to play with the laser in the new year, and we're going to show you guys that. One of the things that we're trying to do is, because we're using vMix software now, we do still have the Blackmagic ATEM, which has all the cameras connected to it. So that's why I switched the cameras here, and he doesn't do it over there. We are trying to get some of the functions working so that all of the chat is going to go into one big box for us. There's a way that we can do that using vMix software. It's called vMix Social. So we'll get to see all of the chats across the different platforms, which is awesome. So we'll get we'll get to see everybody's chat and that sort of thing. So I'm really happy about that. What else we're trying to do? We're trying to use NDI, which is a network interface where we can bring in wireless devices like cell phones and other types of NDI types of cameras. And then we'll be able to use my cell phone to get really close to some of these. We are adding another camera in the new year. So we're going to have 3 camera shots, one over the shoulder so you guys can see what I'm working on, and it's not awkward for me to move around the table. We'll have this shot, and we'll have this shot as well over there. The Stream Deck from Elgato is very good for switching. I agree it is. However, it doesn't fit into our ecosystem here. We're using a Blackmagic Intensity Pro 4K card in the computer, which accepts the stream from the camera switching box. So all the camera switching will eventually be done over there. But for now, it's done here with me. Frank has a lot to do now with answering your questions and such over there. How are the coins coming along? I haven't printed yours yet, Frank or Fred, but I am going to print yours. Let's talk about that real quick before I say goodbye. We have I guess sort of a holiday contest going on for the Maker Coin. If anybody hasn't downloaded the STLs or any of the stuff that we've put up in the files, go ahead and download that. We're going to pick the best Maker Coin design on the 5th of January. We return on the 8th of January, and then we're going to crown a winner. And what were we giving them again? Oh yeah, we're giving them either the STLs to R2D2, or we're going to print one out for you, because the STLs are no longer available online for the US Water Rockets version of R2D2. It was pulled off Thingiverse due to copyright infringement. I guess Disney decided to, say, nope, you can't do it because it looks too close to our actual robot. Whatever. But I have the STLs, and they made it for May the 4th this year, and I thought it was brilliant, and I downloaded one, and now I have the STL. So I'll make that available to the winner, or I'll print one out for the winner, whichever we decide to do. So let me just quickly go over. So that's the contest. The contest closes January 5th. So if you've got a Maker Coin STL that you want me to print, go ahead and send it. If you just want to send a picture of one that you've printed, that's fine too. Whatever one we decide to choose, we are going to make a whole bunch of them, and we're going to give them away. And that is pretty much the show for today, I think. Yes?
You all done?
I'm all done.
I'm all
okay,
done.
You guys have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you again on Friday for the live stream.
We're clear.